And guys, tuna back again. Right, and I'm just going to go straight into another review. Why not? One of the other games that I was waiting to come out that I wanted to buy for Christmas was M2 port of Cave's Ketsui, which is a 2003 arcade game, renowned for its difficulty, and it's one of Cave's most renowned games, and they finally converted it to the PS4. M2 did it, which, like I say, M2 are the masters of converting games. So Ketsui is a bullet hell shooter by Cave. Pretty fantastic game. It's a very hard game. It does have two loops on it, which means pretty much you can play through the game twice, but you have to hit some milestones to get the second loop, and get the last boss, the proper last boss. I think it's like a scoring thing you need to do, and you can't lose a life, and you can't bomb or something through the first loop. I think that's how it works. I'm not entirely sure. Like I said, no expert in this game, and then you get to the final loop then, and at the end of the final loop end you get Doom, which is the final boss. So what M2 are famous for doing with a lot of the other Shot Triggers releases, they did a lot of options to this game. You pretty much your manual, which most of it's in Japanese, but there are some English bits to it, showing you all the menus and various other things. They did arcade challenges, which is quite a cool one in a shmup. There's lots of little like quick challenges for the game, which you have to get through certain bullet patterns, or you have to fight a boss, or you have to do this section in the game, which then learns you how to play the game and learns you how to get a lot better at the game. That's pretty nice for them to add that. Right, and as for conversion scale, M2 always do extra bits to their Shot Triggers games. They don't just give you the plain arcade conversion. That's how it's called. They put a hell of a lot of work into it. What they give you with this is, you get the original arcade mode, which is pretty much the original arcade mode. You get a super easy mode, which, so if you're not really a massive shmup fan, or maybe that you're not particularly that good at shmups, the super easy mode is actually quite good fun. It does cut the difficulty of this game down a hell of a lot. But it does learn you some of the bullet patterns, and like I said, if you're not that great at shmups, it's a pretty nice mode to play. Then you've got the Deathtiny mode, which is pretty stupid sounding, but there you go. Deathtiny mode, which I think is fantastic. It's a new scoring system in the Deathtiny mode. I will show you how to do that. You've got a custom mode. Custom mode pretty much is you can go through all the options, you can change a lot of the stuff, and you can customize the game using stuff from any of the other modes, extra lives, extra bombs, all that type of stuff, and you can make your own custom game. And then you got the IKD 2007 special mode, which is from the I can't remember the Japanese word for it. I don't know. I can't remember. There was a competition in Hey Akihabra, and Cave made a special version of the game, a much harder version of the game. I can't, Harry or something like that it was called. I can't remember. There's a special harder version of the game that was only released for that little sort of. I know. I'm not sure if it went over a weekend or it went over a week or something. There was something they did in Hay anyway. It was like this festival they did. And they made a harder version of the game, but they've actually included that on this release as well, which is really nice. I don't think that's been released on anything before. I say this game has been released on the 360 and the PS3. Them conversion, I do have the PS3 one. They're bare bones conversions. They're okay. There's no scan lines. They're a little bit sort of upscaled from the arcade. They don't look that great, but they play alright. Some of the slowdown is missing that in the same place on the arcade. This game has been tested to the arcade, and all the slowdown, the bullet patterns, the timings, they're all pretty much exactly smack on, which is what you would expect with M2, to be honest. So, yeah, so they got released on them two consoles. So they're pretty nice versions, but this is far superior. This is better than the arcade one, because pretty much it is the arcade one, with a lot of extra options. So, what we'll do is, what I forgot to mention as well, when they converted this game, they added new soundtracks. You've got the original mono arcade soundtrack, and then they put a stereo version of the soundtrack, which I go by here now. I show the soundtracks they did. If you press square, you've got a stereo, which I'm going to use now, a stereo arranged version of the arcade, which just pretty much sounds like the arcade soundtrack, but it's got those left and right sound. It's a little bit nicer. You've got the original arcade soundtrack. You've got the Bice Escape arrangement, which is quite nice. It's quite similar to the original, but it's got a little bit more sort of a different style to it. And you've got the D Matsumoto version, which is more like a... I'm not so fussed on this version of the soundtrack. To me, it doesn't really sound like it does sound like arcade, but it's missing a lot of bits, and it's a bit dancey, I suppose. It's not that great. And you've got Vert arranged soundtrack. Vert is Jake Kaufman, who did a lot of the music for like Shanty and the Pirate's Curse, and he did for Mighty Switch Force. Pretty much most of the stuff he ever touches. He's a fantastic composer. So the Vert soundtrack is definitely the best soundtrack in this game. So, but we'll skip that for now. We'll use the original soundtrack, but we'll use the stereo version. I say in the options, it's all in Japanese, unfortunately. But when you go into the options, you can't change anything. I was wondering about this. I was like, why can't I change any of these options? What's going on? You've got to be in the custom mode to do that. All these options are all locked out in the normal modes. You got your controller, it's pretty simple. You've got your screen, which I'm using the scanline option, and you've got, which is pretty much there, scanline is 25%, seems to look the best, I think. You got your gadgets, which are all the stuff down both sides of the screen, which M2 will put on all the games, and I'm just using the standard sound, but I did up the music level to 80%. But anyway, like I said, I am by no means an expert on this game, and it's scoring, so don't chastise me if I get something wrong. Pretty much from what I figured out what the score is, it's the closest you get to an enemy. You hit it, hold down the button, and you get the lock-on lasers, and the lock-on lasers will give you the 5 times tiles. It only lasts for a certain amount of time, so you've got to keep sort of locking and unlocking to get the higher tiles. So you've got pretty much point blank a lot of the enemies, get really close to them. Like if I point blank them now, then hold down the button for my helicopter's extra fires to lock on. They get the higher tiles, so obviously the higher tiles, the more points you score in this game. Like I say, this is a very tricky cave game. I can't complete it on the arcade mode. It's very hard. I can get quite far in there. There is an arcade hack at this as well by Trap 15, which they do have in Arcade Club, and that's really nice as well. It's a lot harder, slightly different way of, well, slightly different scoring thing. I'm not entirely sure how that one works, but that's quite a nice version of this as well. But what I am really loving is the Deathtiny mode. I'll get to the first boss. Once you learn how to score in this game, problem is you're always going for those high scores, so you're always taking the risk to get close to stuff. It's very hard to play just for, just for getting through it, other than playing for points. Bosses as well, like in a lot of cave games, can be taken apart bit by bit for more points. As I die. Very hard to get the back ones. So I'm going to try and get the back ones. I've never actually managed to do it. Yeah. Yes, you can take apart a lot of the bosses for extra points. You can blow the sides off them and stuff. Makes it a lot harder for when you're playing it, but it's definitely worth doing for those extra points. And that was really silly because I was concentrating on talking. You do have a bomb as well. It's a pretty simple game. It's pretty much fire and bomb. When you hold down the button, you go slightly slower, but then you get the lock. You get the lock on side pods. So that's the original arcade mode, so if you've ever played the arcade one, it's pretty much the arcade one. I will say they've done a fantastic job of upscaling this game. It looks brilliant, especially when you put the scan lines on it as well. Fantastic looking. So we're going to quit out of this. I'm going to go back. Like a super easy mode, it's exactly the same as the arcade, like I was saying, but it's just really easy. But it's still, you get auto bombs, you get 5 bombs or 6 bombs, and when you get hit, you're auto bombs, just like literally having 7 lives. So still a little bit tricky though to beat without getting hit. Still can be quite hard, but it's handy if you're not that great at shmups. It's the perfect mode. Right then, Deathtiny mode. This mode I really like. I might actually have a play of this and see if I can finish it while we're doing this review, so you can have a look at the game. Completely different scoring in this, and I've put the Vert soundtrack on. Let's go to the ship. The 2 ships are a little bit different. One's got spread fire and one hasn't. In this version, the chips, basically, certain times you hit normal enemies, you get the blue chips. The blue chips then will basically power up your Deathtiny gauge at the bottom. And then what you can do with that Deathtiny gauge then is you can use that gauge to cancel the bullets out on screen and turn them into gold chips. And the more gold chips you get, the higher score you get. So I am just gonna do this, and that's pretty much how you score in this mode. So the idea is to get loads of bullets on screen and then cancel them, and then once you've cancelled, everything you shoot for a little while turns into gold chips. And then after about 2 or 3 seconds after that, when the gold chips stop appearing, you get a bullet, you get like a little flash then, which cancels all bullets on screen. This does make the game a lot easier than the arcade mode, but I think this mode is really good fun, and to score high on it is not easy. From what I've figured out, there seems to be certain places that you can get the blue chips from the enemies, like there. So a lot of it is timing using the Deathtiny mode, so you can maximise the highest amount of the yellow chips, and then hopefully cancel the bullets so you don't die. Like by here, I'll get a load by here. You've got to be careful as well, because you're not totally invincible when you do that. If you get hit in between the point where the gold chips stop being produced and the bit where it flashes and cancels all the bullets, you can literally get killed. So it does sort of make you play, it does make you want to get as much stuff on screen as possible to do the bullet cancel. What's good about this as well is you can download replays of the highest people playing this game, so you can have a look at how they're doing it, which is very handy. I've had a look. I got myself up to something about 400 or something in the world on it in this mode. I can't quite. You must have a better idea how to create these bullets. Plus, this is only 1 loop instead of 2 loops. So it's just knowing it is, I think, the perfect place when to use the Deathtiny mode so you can cancel all bullets. I do like this mode, it is super fun to play. In lots of ways, I think I actually like this mode better than the arcade one. Plus, the good thing about this mode as well, it does teach you the bullet patterns. Like, it doesn't take any prisoners when it comes to the amount of bullets on screen. You got to watch as well, mind. You can't wear your Destiny gauge out too much. Your Deathtiny gauge, sorry, out too much because you can't do bullet cancels. Yeah. Right, here we go, second boss. I'm going to try and take some of the sides off him first. So look, so I'm going to take that one off. You want to try and get all your sort of side pods to lock on. Now I want to get them to lock on the side. Should have gone for the two sides then. I'm going to get it locked right in the middle this time. This is very tricky to dodge. I got to cancel there, I was going to get it. So when you play in the normal arcade mode, you've got to dodge all that, or use a bomb. Actually, Shot Triggers have done a few other games which I did reviews of as well. Everything they've made is fantastic quality. So M2 are pretty much masters when it comes to doing conversions of games. They're pretty much the best in the industry. Ooh. Playing and talking this, I'm trying to play this game is hard work, especially when you're concentrating, dodging all this crap. Ooh. There's an extra life to be had by you as well. If you manage to destroy this ship and destroy the middle bit of it, you get an extra life. You want to take out all these bits. You need to take that middle section out when it comes back down. No bombs. Oh yeah. Yeah, get the extra life. Do sort of get in a bit of a mood to these games with bullet hell stuff. Bullet hell looks solid, and it is, but in some ways it's easier than some of the traditional shooters. I know that seems a bit crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Didn't want to use it then, but it's gonna get hit. The bombs in this don't actually give you bombs, they fill the Deathtiny bar up. Damn, that was silly. And that was. dodging ability's not the best today. Should have used the bar. Tricky to dodge eyes. This looks crazy over here, but all you gotta do to dodge is hug the blue bullets. Ignore the red ones, just hug that line of blue bullets all the way down the middle. And you dodge everything. Same with all cave games, the only bit that can get hit in my ship is the tiny little dot right in the middle of it. And the same with the big bullets as well, not all that big bullet is actually a hitbox. That's what's clever about these bullet hell games. It's not all your ship is a hitbox. Myself a bit trapped in the corner. Got no Deathtiny gauge, which is a bit of a bummer, especially at this point. Needed that. Not too bad to dodge, I think. That's not so fun to dodge. Yeah, lots of points. What's gonna die then? As you can see, this is a very tricky game indeed. Gotta go back this way. That's poopy. Oh, concentrating pretty hard here. I say this mode really is super fun with the bullet cancelling. I still have not figured out how to do this boss properly. Oh, this bit is so hard. Dodging that is very, very difficult. Yeah, this bit's very tricky. Concentration. This bit is very hard. And the best place to dodge this is up here. Hang on. So hard to dodge. This is where it gets even more tricky. Look stupid this does, doesn't it? But it's literally, you just slowly dodge around, dodging the blue firing. So this is the last level. So this game has got 5 levels to it. Say 5 levels, 2 loops, and a secret boss doom, which you can unlock. You're going to do you're going to get a high score and not use a bomb in the first loop. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to achieve that on the original mode, to be honest. That's very tricky. Some of the replays on this game as well are amazing to watch. Skill on offer is unbelievable. The other thing with these games, you know, most cave shooters are all literally half hour long. But some people would say, you know, half hour worth of gameplay is crap, is a crap game, half hour worth of gameplay. That's if you keep continuing. To actually master these games would take you hundreds and hundreds of hours of playing them. In my eyes, they're well worth the money, like, just the challenge alone. I'm in trouble. And no cancelling. This last level as well, you do need a bit of a plan through it. A lot of people say the ones who can finish this, if you haven't got a plan for this last level, and you deviate from that, you're pretty knackered. The extra life, nice. The Vert soundtrack is very nice. It's very much like the original soundtrack, but it's just got a lot more to it. Just gonna die then. Nice. I'm going to use one there because there should be a hell of a lot of points going by it. Ooh, that was lucky. Damn. I said some of these bullet patterns are very, very tricky indeed to dodge. I definitely need to go back and forth on these. You need to sort of go one side to the opposite side. Otherwise you get overwhelmed by bullets very, very quickly. Oh, helicopters coming in. Try and get them as soon as you can, because those helicopters cause you a lot of problems, as you can see. Ooh, right in the middle. It's a shame I lost a life, Ant. It's getting tricky. So I mean about those helicopters, if you don't take them out pretty fast, cause you trouble, big time. Ah, damn. Oh. Hard work, that is. Very hard to dodge. Like I say, this game looks impossible, but it can be done. I'm out. You gotta get really close to it to dodge that attack. Comes in from the sides. Come on, die. Say, this is the Secret Last Boss, Doom. In this mode, you get to fight Doom at the end. I'm not going to him. I doubt very much I'm going to be able to do him. That was silly. No way. No way am I going to be able to do this. This bit just screws with my mind. How you dodge it, I don't know. Not like that anyway, put it that way. I'm out of Destiny gauge as well. That's silly. Worth a try. I'm not going to continue. But anyway guys, that's the Deathtiny mode. So we'll reset back. What you can do as well, if you've got a rank-in viewer and you change it to Deathtiny mode, select that, you can see the top scores on it. That top score is ridiculous. Mine is probably way down, yeah, 406. But you can download the replays for all those scores as well, which is class. So, let's have a look of the... I can't remember this version. Like I said, I wish I could remember the name of it. Imahara or something like that. Or was the guy from Cave? Could well be. I say this is a super hard version of this game, made for that festival, shooting festival they did in Hey Akihabra. Right, here we go. I think it has slightly different scoring as well. As you can see, it's a lot harder from the start. See how far I get just for the laugh. I say I can't pull a cancel in this mode, so I probably shouldn't be trying to go for scoring really, should I? Yeah, got the first boss, that was a life. Right. This is going to start getting sillier then. Oh. Didn't want a bomb. So yeah, as you can see, this version's a lot harder than the other versions. It's cool that they included this version on there. They must have done... I know some of the top guy at 2 does know some of the people from Cave who made this game. So you must have pulled some favours, I think, to get hold of this this copy of the game to chuck on you. Try to finally get through that gap in. See how the game is now starting to get pretty nuts. I'm not going to use a bomb. I'm not going to use a bomb. It's definitely turned out to be a bit of a long review. Ah, I got killed by a silly bullet. So that's that mode. I say that's a super hard mode, especially made for... I can't... tell you, I wish I had a brain. I could remember things. So that's Ketsui, guys, the Deathtiny mode. Like I said, if you want to buy it, it's on the Japanese store only at this moment in time. You can buy a physical release of it, which you can get from PlayAsia and various other places, which goes for about 50 to 60 quid. plus your import duty, but that physical version does have the free DLC packs. Unfortunately, there is 2 DLCs for this, which you can buy straight away, pretty much. I can't remember what the DLCs was now. There was 2 DLCs anyway. I think it's the Mizahari mode or the hard mode thing I bought. And the Vert soundtrack is a download. But the physical version does come with it all on one disc. So it is worth it. But I ended up getting it off the store. Then I had to buy the extra bits for this game separate. It pretty much worked out to about 50 quid anyway. But I suppose ease of use, just being on your PlayStation without actually putting a disc in, is quite nice. You can just put it on and play it. But anyway, conversion of this game is pretty amazing. M2 have done a fantastic job, especially adding the new Deathtiny mode, which I really love the new Deathtiny mode. It's super fun to play. It's a fantastic conversion of the arcade, and it is pretty much better than the arcade, because it is pretty much the arcade version with loads of extra things to it. You can pretty much tweak this game to whenever you want. And like I said, if you're not an experienced shmup player, the easy mode is great fun as well, and will give you a lot of fun out of this game, and it will make you learn this game and get a lot better. And perhaps you could try some of the other modes out. But yeah, as a conversion, top notch. Hats off to M2 and Short Triggers. Brilliant conversion. I do love this game, and I am going to give this Ketsui. Ketsui's not my favourite cave game, but I do like it a lot. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. Only because, not because it's done anything wrong, I think it's done everything perfect, is because Ketsui's not necessarily my favourite cave game. So I'm going to give it an 8.5. Brilliant. Like I said, if you're into bullet hell shmups, get on the Japanese store, make yourself an account, and have a look at the Short Triggers games. Pick this one up because it's well worth it, and pick some of the other games up. They did... M2 did do a little sort of... they checked a bit of a feeler out there a little while ago. People could vote for the game that they wanted them to do next. I was really wanted them to do Armed Police Batrider, because 2 of the head guy at M2 and one of the other programmers, they love that game. I really want them to do that game, and I really want them to do Ibara, because Ibara is another cave game that only came out on the PS2, and the PS2 version's good, but it's not as good as the arcade. I really wanted to do a Ibara Black Label. But the next game coming out is Esperade. People voted for Esperade. Esperade is an older cave game as well, but another classic. And there was 2 sequels after that. There's Escaluda and Escaluda 2. So I look forward to playing Esperade, because that was a game I played a lot back in the day on MAME when it first came out. And I have played it in the arcades in Japan. It is still around. You can play it. You will find it in places. It's a really good shmup as well, and it's not so crazy as some of the new games, but I can't wait for that coming out. But they took about a year to release this game because they were working on it. So it's probably going to be the end of next year now before you actually see the release of that game. And hopefully after that they'll either do Ibara or they'll do Armed Police Batrider. But there is a hell of a lot of shmups out there that they could do. So I don't know, I'm up for anything. Or Dimahu would be a quite cool one as well. But I'm up for anything they do. I love playing shmups. You may have noticed they are my favourite type of game. So yeah, go out and buy get in the Japanese store, make yourself an account, and buy Ketsui Deathtiny, which is a stupid name, but anyway, Deathtiny edition, because it is fantastic. So I shall catch you next time with another review, guys. See you then. Ta-da!